Welcome back to the Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Time to get you ready for the weekend. I'm your host, Gamby, with my co-host, Brandon. Haven't done that in a while, so figured we'd let you know who we are, in case you're new. Which, at this point, I don't know how many people are really new to the podcast at this point of the year. Maybe. If you are, then hopefully we can help you with the playoffs. If not, if you've been listening to us the whole time, hopefully we're getting you to the playoffs. And we're right around the corner from that. So, as always, for the weekend preview, let's start off with our 10 takes, where we review stuff that happened in the past week and talk a little bit more general hockey for once. So my first bit here on 10 takes is going to be about the Department of Player Safety Wheel of Judgment. What is you? We know that, Evander Kane wasn't happy about it, and he had some words to say on Twitter. They're still deciding what to do with him, whether they're going to send him to the guillotine or fine him only. I figured George Peros will just send him to the guillotine. But Probably. What is your take on kind of the state of the Department of Player Safety, which, mind you, is run by a guy in George Peros who has an apparel company that has a shirt that says, "Make hockey violent again"?
I think Evander Kane and George Peros should have to get on the ice and fight. That's the only clear way to resolve this. If you don't know who Peros is, he used to fight a lot.
Oh, he was terrifying.
He used to fight a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tricky situation. Like, it's a hard thing to comment on because, like, I feel like I understand both sides. It's hard to call everything right, even when you're reviewing it. And then, I don't know. I mean, everybody's pointing at the Chara cross-check on Gallagher, which is pretty bad as well. I don't know. Where does the line get drawn? I think, it's pretty easy to look at Kane's history and kind of not exactly give him much leeway.
I guess. I mean, at the same time, though, like, in my opinion, it's kind of like I don't hate the idea of if you're a previous offender, you get something. But at the same time, like, they just don't seem to care. Like, dangerous hit should be a dangerous hit and should be suspended as so. And there's just no consistency. We saw the elbow, I think it was on, I don't remember. There was an elbow right before the Kane one that didn't get any kind of suspension. And they didn't even look at it, I don't think. And then, of course, you have the Chara thing. Like, there's just so many instances where it's dangerous, but they don't do anything. At least they suspended Cassian for a while. But, even that one, I mean, it's crazy that you can have a whole discussion before any suspension and be like, how much do you think this suspension is going to be? And just take random guesses, and someone's going to be right.
Well, that kind of makes sense. There's always degrees to things. Although I don't, I'm kind of surprised kicking somebody with a skate isn't like a 10 at least, but at least it was a 7. I heard people think it was gonna be 5, but it's pretty much assault with a deadly weapon, kind of.
Just a bit, just a little bit.
You caught a finger. That I think that would go a whole lot worse than it did. Yeah, I don't know. Although I don't think they're necessarily doing a great job. I think being the head of the Department of Player Safety is probably one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah. I mean, also, it's so easy for Gary Bettman or whoever to put someone there. And then eventually, like, when people get furious with it, just be like, oh, well, it's their fault. And then fire him and then put someone else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Yahoo standard trade deadline is when we're recording this, which is Wednesday night. So by the time you hear this, it'll already be over. But the NHL deadline, however, is February 24th. This coming Monday. So I think we're going to see a lot of things shake up. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of these recommendations, I'm not sure they'll change, but they could be altered. Not necessarily because the player themselves will get traded, but the situation on that team could change for the guys that we're suggesting for this for the weekend. So keep an eye on any trades that do happen and how they affect your players, whether they're the players that got traded or whether it's, their line gets shifted or somebody gets bumped from a power play and moved up to a power play or whatever else. All that stuff is going to make pretty significant changes in value, both from, again, the players that are actually being traded and from the teams that are being affected.
Yep, that's a good call out. I mean, Blake Coleman is a great example of someone like that. So just pay attention. And even the smaller trades, honestly, can have a little bit of an impact, too, in just how the whole team deploys their line mates and such, right? Like, Blake Coleman, to me, is actually a net positive for Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos, because you now have a guy who's a specialist on defense, and you can run those three more offensively than you would have before. They don't have to be as all-around. So, something to keep note of. Okay, my next bit here is about the Red Wings. Just really quick, they swept the Montreal Canadiens, won all 4 games against them this season, and every single one in regulation.
No, are you surprised?
Yeah, that's their Stanley Cup, I guess. I mean,
They shouldn't be sweeping anybody. Although they were doing pretty well against Boston too on the season, which is I don't understand.
Yeah.
But
The last one was crazy because they were down 3-1 and came back to win 4-3. I only know that because I own Carey Price, and I went to sleep thinking, you know what, this ain't so bad. Thank you, Carey Price, gonna give me some points. And then I woke up and he had a -4 points. So
that's what you get. You're supposed to watch the whole game. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, obviously.
All right, so my next one here is the Blackhawks are the worst in the league on the power play at 14%, which, wow, I don't understand that. Like I feel like any team that has Patrick Kane should have a decent power play percentage. Although we saw the same thing with the Oilers being not so good, even though they had Draisaitl and McDavid. This season, notwithstanding, but prior to this season, they were not very good. So maybe it's a system thing, but I don't understand how the offensive talent they have anyway, that they can't put better than 31st overall numbers up there for the power play. As a result, though, they are shaking things up. We're seeing a shift in the quarterback. I think most recently it's back to Gustafsson. It was Boquist for a long time. I think Keith has been seeing some rounds up there as well, which, boy. But the biggest benefactor is going to be Kubalik in the meantime. I mentioned this already, but he's getting looks power play 1. So is Brandon Saad, but I'm much higher on Kubalik than I would be on Saad. I feel like Kubalik is a younger, more versatile Saad at this point. So
yeah,
it's kind of like a pro and a con right now, I think. The good side of it, or let's start with the bad side, is clearly that they suck on the power play for whatever reason. But the good side of it is it could create interesting streaming options like both Saad and Kubalik if they are able to get something to click with some of these new players. You could even see Kajula wind up in there at some point as he's playing on the right wing of Tays right now. If they just continue not to be able to get power play points, why not just keep mixing it up?
Yeah, and I think that you kind of pointed out one of the biggest issues this year is when you look at the past years for the Hawks. I mean, Duncan Keith was really good as the power play QB for a while, and then you had Eric Gustafsson just light it up last year. And I think the big issue they've had this year is no one succeeded at that power play QB spot. They've tried Boquist, they've tried Keith, they've tried Gustafsson, and no one's been able to get it to click. And I would argue that's maybe the biggest reason why they're 31st in the league.
Just run 5-4, you cowards.
I know. Be the team that does it. You have a team that can do it.
Yeah, just put like Dylan Strome there or something.
Yeah, right? He's great at defense. He's tiny, but he's great at defense.
Just if they take the puck the other way, just wait. You know, they'll get scored on, and it doesn't matter because, I mean, the playoffs probably aren't happening anyway. Or you don't get scored on, and then you get another shot at the power play with 5 forwards.
Yeah. Or now you've discovered a whole new way to run power plays for you, and there you go. You've redefined the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think the risk is worth it. Okay, my next bit here is on injuries. Erik Karlsson and Brock Besser are out for the season. Well, Brock Besser is out at least until playoffs. Erik Karlsson is out rest of the season with a thumb injury. Both very different impacts. I think the Sharks, you can firmly now consider them dead in the water.
I think they're considering themselves dead in the water. I get what you're doing there, but I'm not going to address it. And they're already selling, so I think they're going to be selling a lot of players very soon.
I mean, I'm very curious to see how they sell because very many players can't really be sold. That's kind of the tough thing with the Sharks. I'm curious to see what they do next season more than anything. And then Besser, obviously, now with the Toffoli trade. This is big for Toffoli in fantasy because Besser's going to be out through the fantasy season. It makes sense now, too, why they paid so much. They probably knew this before making that trade. I don't think they would have done it otherwise. And they felt that Toffoli could fill that hole. Now, I don't think... I feel for the people who traded for Besser just a few days ago, thinking he might be back in time for fantasy playoffs, but I don't think it has too much of an impact keeper-wise. I think if your league was deep enough already to keep a guy like Besser, then you're probably still going to keep him. Like in a keep 5, I don't think Besser was keep-worthy. Erik Karlsson is a really interesting case because he hasn't been healthy any of the past 3 seasons for the full season. I don't know. I don't know if I'd keep Karlsson, to be honest.
Wow, keeping Carlson. What are they going to do for the name of their
I know.
podcast as soon as Carlson is no longer keepable?
I
They're
know.
going to change it to William? No, he's not keepable either.
No.
They'll just have to change it to a C and be keeping Carlson for John, and just hope that another Carlson comes up and is good enough to keep.
Honestly, just call it keeping Borowiecki.
Yeah, keeping Borowiecki. It just rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah. It does.
Keeping Corpusalo.
Keeping Elvis Merzlikins. Okay, what's your next one?
All right, the sixth take here. Bruce Boudreau was fired. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Dean Evison is in. So I think I don't know if this is offline, just talking with you, or on one of the other episodes. I honestly don't remember. Everything blends together these days, but the common thinking here is Boudreau essentially survived two GMs, being on and off. And typically when a GM comes in, they tend to bring their guys. Boudreau is not Bill Guerin's guy, so I'm not sure that he was necessarily looking for an out, with the Wild being, playing reasonably well, playing better than I certainly expected them to, and a lot of analysts expected them to. But I think it was more of just a reason to switch things up with the Wild. I think they had a pretty bad home loss on the day that they let him go. But I don't know. It feels like a little bit of a raw end for Boudreau, who's he's old now. I'm not sure that he's going to be finding another coaching gig in the NHL. So that's kind of a bittersweet ending, I guess.
Because he's old?
Yeah. This is what I read. This is not coming up from me. But
really?
Yeah.
He doesn't look that old.
He's 65.
Okay,
his
so
name's not that old. Chris Won already 70, but he's not.
How old is Quenneville?
Quenneville's not 65, is he?
I don't think so.
Google's. He's 61. So he's got 4 more years, and then he'll be fired and ejected from the NHL. This is what happens. He turned 65, and then how old was Hitchcock? Hitchcock was 68. You see, he made it a little bit further than he was supposed to.
What about Willie D?
Tank Commander. I mean, Willie D was not.
Oh, he counts. How old was Willie D when he came in at tank for the Kings?
Oh, he's only 63 now. So there you go.
Oh, okay. So he just exited his prime. That's why they brought him in. Man,
wait a minute. How old is Daryl Sutter?
That's a good one too.
He's only 61. He looks like he's 100.
What? Oh my god! What? I would have never guessed that Daryl Sutter is that old.
That young?
So much older.
Yeah, he looked. Wow.
What?
Okay.
Well, there you go. That's if you ever wanted. We should just title this episode "The Age of NHL Coaches." Wow, and then there's Sheldon Keefe, who's a baby.
Yeah,
Sheldon Keefe.
I wonder.
Until he gets ejected.
I guess 65 is old for an NHL coach.
I guess so. I didn't really realize that, but I suppose I suppose that is. Okay, well, there's that. Okay, my next bit here, nothing to do with age, but this was from Dauber. He had realized this and tweeted it out, and people confirmed it for him. Brady Tkachuk is on pace to be the first player ever to hit 300 shots and 300 hits in a single season. I love that man.
This is insane to think about, but he's probably worth a late first in full banger leagues.
Yeah.
Which is just unbelievable. I mean, if you believe that this can stick, in leagues, when I say full banger, I mean everything. PIMs and blocks, everything. But he's the type of player that if you get him and there's enough peripherals involved, you can pretty much begin to punt everything except for the peripherals and be almost unbeatable by taking shots, hits, and then PIMs. And then like you have flexibility with however else you want to go. Like
for reference,
those types of numbers are just like Dustin Byfuglien was often drafted in the second round for just that, with less upside. So although he was a defenseman, to be fair, but to hit 300 shots and 300 hits shouldn't even be possible. I don't know what is going on here.
Imagine what's going to happen once he can start getting points too.
I mean, he's been getting some points. I don't know if I don't know if he'll ever really be
Oh,
a
I think it
point
can
guy.
absolutely get better. He only has 8 power play points on the season.
That's true, but I feel
And
like
there's
I'm kind of like I'm lumping him in with Evander Kane a little bit, where I feel like 65, 70, it would be like a great year for him and probably a career
Yeah.
year and not something that would be constant, and that more like the 60-ish range is where you normally see him. I
Yeah.
also,
For reference, though,
yeah,
we're in a full bangers league. You own him. I
yeah,
hate you. And he's ranked 5th overall.
yeah. I mean, take that as you will, because Yahoo rankings, they blend stats however they decide. So it's not necessarily where I would put him, but certainly up there.
Well, yeah, no one's going to draft him at 5th, but say you got him at like 12th.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate it. Like going back to back 12th and
Yeah.
then like getting a point getter.
Yep.
Man, that would be quite a turn.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
The thing is,
so
you're
that's
not going to
my-
have to, though. That's the funny bit.
No.
Like, you're still going to be able
I
to get
know.
him in like the 4th or. You know what? He was going in the 6th round for us, but that's because everybody was already in on him. I feel like in most leagues, I wonder what his average draft position was in full banger leagues, because I guarantee you it wasn't 6th round. And I think that's where I took him.
I'm pretty sure I have that data somewhere. I'll have to look that up and check it out.
For averages? Oh, that'd be
I'm not
interesting.
For eight, I have his ADP.
Yeah, but that'll be for
From,
like
like,
across
end of the
all
season.
leagues. And if you're not full bangers, he's not quite
Yeah,
worth as
that's
much.
true.
But
True, I'd like to know what it was for full bangers only.
yeah, I'm gonna take a quick look and see where I drafted him just for the giggles.
I think you got him like 6th round, 5th or 6th round.
I want to say I got him 6th.
I'm pretty sure. It's
Yeah, I got
5th or
him
6th
the
round.
beginning of the 6th round. So
Yeah, yeah.
fun. Okay, next up here, the 8th of the 10 takes. We've got quite the race going on for the Rocket Richard this season. Ovechkin, Matthews, and Pasternak are all still in it. They're kind of getting a bit of a gap between them and next up, which is Leon Draisaitl at 34 goals. All 3 of these guys are above 40, or 40 or above, I should say. But it still seems like it's Ovi's race to lose, despite how good everybody else has been. In standard Ovi fashion, he's got the lowest shooting percentage of the 3. He's got the most volume, which is the reason why he's got the lowest shooting percentage. And he's actually got games in hand on both of them. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it really could be any of them to get it, but my money's still on Ovi this season. I think this might be the last season it's Ovi, but I think it's Ovi.
Yeah, I mean, now with how close we see Pasternak and Matthews out there, I think this might be the last year we see Ovechkin do. Although, you know what? We've said that so many times
You
before.
said that. I didn't buy it for a minute, but now I'm starting to think that, like, if either one of
Especially if
those
scoring
guys
goes up in the league.
if Matthews and Pasternak add volume to their shot, like more shooting volume to their elite shooting ability, they're gonna be hard to beat, either one of them.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I mean, they're still so young too.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing is they haven't even peaked.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what's gonna happen once they peak? Okay, so my last bit here is on the New York Rangers. Igor Shesterkin. So in my opinion, now he is the real deal. He is amazing. But hold on, take a breather here, and just remember that when you're thinking about keepers, I would rather have Hart over Shesterkin for this year. I would rather have guys like Marc-Andre Fleury over Shesterkin this year. Like an older guy. There's also a younger guy. The reason for that are a few things. One, there's a non-zero chance that next year is Shesterkin Georgiev. Or is it Georgiev? I think it's Georgiev. I don't think it's Hart. It's
Georgiev.
Georgiev. So those two, there's a non-zero chance that happens. In which case, I would assume next year is a 1A, 1B, or 60-40 split. The second thing here about that is once Shesterkin gets less goal support next year, which I fully expect to happen because I will riot if we re-sign Kreider. So we should get worse. And I'm speaking about the New York Rangers here, obviously. Should get worse. And when that happens, that can't be good for Igor Shesterkin. And next year, when there's not goal support, what's going to happen? He's not going to win games. And so that's what I would expect to happen next year. I think you need to have patience with him. I don't think this is like a Carter Hart situation. If you remember when Carter Hart came up, he was a keeper because the team in front of him was pretty good. They had a competitive team on paper in front of him. When you look at the New York Rangers, they do not have a competitive team. They have a very lucky team at the moment. very top-heavy team that for whatever reason is working. But look at a team like Edmonton, right? To me, the New York Rangers remind me of Edmonton from like, I don't know, 2 years ago, where like they had one amazing year. They made the playoffs. Everyone was like, oh my God, the Edmonton Oilers are here. That's it. They've done it. And it was all inflated from just Draisaitl and McDavid performances and overinflated shooting percentages across different players. And what happened the next year? They fell off a cliff. And the same thing we saw with Calgary last year. And I feel like the same thing is going to happen with the New York Rangers next year. That can only hurt a guy like Igor Shesterkin. So as far as a keeper, especially in like a keep 5, for example, I would not be rushing to keep Igor Shesterkin because I also think that right now you're valuing him super highly, but I can almost guarantee you that come draft time, he will not be one of the top goaltenders drafted.
Yeah, definitely not.
We will have wasted a keeper spot.
And Samsonov is, I would much rather keep Samsonov. Yep, he's in a similar situation, except on a much more win-ready
team. Yeah. Yep, agreed.
Okay, my last bit, actually, weirdly, is also about the New York Rangers. Ooh. Artemi Panarin, specifically. Should we talk about this shootout goal?
It should not be a goal, but I'm also a goaltender and I'm biased. So
yeah, but you're a Rangers fan. I thought you'd
so what
side with Panarin on this one.
You know what? I'm a sport fan first, and then I'm a team fan.
Oh my God! Let me hear this rhetoric from this hack over here. Don't worry, guys. We'll replace him with a new co-host.
Brandon hates that I am not just like
I hate your rhetoric.
Everybody for the sake of my team.
Hate your rhetoric.
My rhetoric. You hate that. So you think it was a good goal?
I do not,
you just
actually.
wanted to put me in. You wanted to put me in the spot. That's all it was.
I wanted to, and I did. But I agree that it was. I think it should have been disallowed. There's clear like the motion was not going forward for a couple of different instances during that, and I mean the whole point of the changes they made to the shootout was to stop goofy stuff like that from happening, so that a goaltender has a reasonable chance at it.
To be fair, I think that Stalock made a big mistake by flopping on his stomach so early. I think he went for the poke. He should have just stayed up.
I looked at it a lot. I looked at what he was doing. I still don't know. Because
I don't know.
He didn't extend like he was going to poke. Like when you watch a poke goalies, that it's like, watch Thomas Grice's shootouts. He loves to go for the poke. Fleury, I think, goes for the poke quite a bit too.
He does.
But Stalock, I don't know. It's almost like he thought about going for the poke and then decided against it and just kind of like wound up in no man's land and just fell over. I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. There was I'm in this goalie gear group on Facebook. It's actually the one that got Garrett Sparks suspended at one point, which is funny to remember. And that one, they had posted the video about this play, and pretty much everyone was like, not a goal, but on top of that, what the hell was Stalock doing? So like it's both. I think that's what makes it so tough is like if he had made a normal goaltending play and like gone down too early or something and it affected him, I think it would be easier to judge. But the fact that Stalock just got, I don't know, roasted out of his boots, like it makes it a lot tougher to judge. I'm like, did Panarin just like destroy him, or did Panarin do an illegal move? I can't really tell.
I think it was an illegal move.
I think it was an illegal move. I think the very last bit was the illegal part where he pulls it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then flips it up.
He basically had to reposition to be able to actually get a reasonable shot on net. And that's the part where it's like, you overcommitted. Like it was over. But
although I will say that it was a pretty close one. Like I will say that I don't fault the refs for like letting it go. But I can also see I can see a situation where like in a week or two, we see a play very similar and they disallow it and everyone's like, excuse me, you let the Panarin one go, but then you call this one off.
Yep.
I think that's what they're setting themselves up for, so which is a problem. Okay, so now that we've done 10 takes, let's move into the weekend pickup suggestions, and we start off with the schedule preview for the weekend. So let's start with the teams with good matchups, and it's going to be Edmonton, who plays Minnesota and Los Angeles, the New York Islanders, who play Detroit and San Jose. My God, could you ask for a better schedule than that? Oh, wait, you can. Colorado plays Anaheim and Los Angeles. Look at that. Yep, even better. Carolina has kind of a hard schedule, but it's a really good schedule for fantasy and goals. They play the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a lot of goals on the table right there, especially Toronto, who just cannot seem to figure it out recently. Neither can Freddie. Teams with bad matchups are going to be Anaheim, who plays Colorado and the Vegas Golden Knights. Detroit plays the New York Islanders and the Calgary Flames. The Minnesota Wild play, I almost said the Minnesota Panthers. The Minnesota Wild plays the Edmonton Oilers and the St. Louis Blues. And Buffalo plays Pittsburgh and Winnipeg for what I would think is the hardest schedule of the weekend. And then teams that play both off nights, there's really not that heavy of a Saturday either, to be honest.
Yep.
So this take this with a grain of salt. Like, you can probably fit in Saturday, depending on position. So both the teams that play Friday and Sunday are going to be Anaheim, Dallas, Edmonton, the New York Islanders, the Calgary Flames, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings, Minnesota Wild, and the St. Louis Blues. So with that knowledge, who is the first person that I recommend? None other than Kyler Yamamoto, right wing, 39% owned. We've talked about him more than enough on the show. If you don't know why, you should pick him up at this point. Don't really know what to tell you. I love him. He's a great pickup. I don't think he's done anything today against Boston while we're recording this, but that doesn't matter.
This game is happening while we're recording, and there was a power play goal from Gagne from Bear and RNH. So I don't know how that happened.
I mean,
like none of that makes sense. Was RNH just out for too long and wound up on the second line? He must have. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, my first one here is I'm gonna go with Jordan Eberle actually on the Islanders here. I think that he at 15%, like it was between him and Beauvillier, and I think either one is a decent option. But I mentioned Eberle here because I think he's the one not getting talked about. I know he hasn't been doing quite as well as Beauvillier, but I think the upside's there. We've seen him click with Barzal in the past, and I actually think if he stays on the line with Barzal and on top power play, we'll see some of that chemistry come back. He's also been getting more minutes, which is handy. So I think we're going to see at least a point out of him this weekend, hopefully more than one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Anthony Beauvillier, center left wing, 21% owned. I like him quite a bit. For the weekend, the Islanders have a really good schedule in Detroit and San Jose.
Home games against Detroit and a tired San Jose while they're rested.
Could you ask? Yeah. Could you ask for a better schedule than that?
Yeah.
So I like Anthony Beauvillier quite a bit.
Yeah. My next one here is Kevin Fiala. He actually just scored tonight. Just happened.
That's an easy one. That's cheating.
Yeah. Left wing, right wing, 37%. People soured on him real quick after he went 2 games at a point. Still getting tons of minutes, over 20 minutes a game. He's still power play 1, although I don't know what's been going on lately with him just doing all sorts of weird power play stuff. But I do think he'll see majority power play still. And yeah, he's playing well, and they're essentially trying to stack that one line with Parise, Stahl, and Fiala as best they can anyway. So I like him, and he's shooting with volume, which is nice to see from him.
Yep. My next one here is going to be Darnell Nurse of the Edmonton Oilers, defenseman, 69% owned. Nice. So he's good because he's currently top power play for the Edmonton Oilers in Klefbom's absence, but the Oilers did just make an interesting call up in Evan Bouchard. So I would pay attention. I don't have him on my list, but this just happened today. I would just pay attention to Bouchard and see what happens. I don't think you call him up just to play third pairing minutes and do nothing. So I would keep an eye out there. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Bouchard get its shot at that top power play. Yeah, but Darnell Nurse is also a good option if he's actually confirmed to be top power play for more than just one game.
Yeah. My next one here is Robbie Fabry. This is for deep leagues. He's only 4% owned. They don't have the worst matchup with the Islanders in Calgary. So the Islanders have been kind of up and down lately. They have to play away, so that's not the best situation to be in. But Calgary is at home is an easier option as far as goal scoring. And Fabry, being top left wing and top power play right now with very low ownership and doing decent enough shooting volume, he's unfortunately for the Red Wings one of the only options to add for fantasy relevance. But again, 4%. This is a deep league type of move if you're looking for extra start the weekend in a 16-teamer or something.
Yeah, I don't hate that one, even though I do hate the Detroit Red Wings.
Mm-hmm.
My last one here is Dominic Kubalik, who we've talked about also kind of like Kyler Yamamoto a lot this week. Left wing, right wing, still only 34% owned, scored 2 goals tonight against the New York Rangers. He's playing top power play, getting minutes again. Shot volume is back up. There's a lot to like there. And he is someone who, while on top power play, becomes a potential long-term hold if he fits your schedule.
Yep. I've got a couple more. Kubalik is one. Another one is Dustin Brown, actually. This could be, I would call it a short-ish hold because we've seen Brown be in the situation before and he does well for periods of time. He got 2 goals in his first game after the Toffoli move where he was moved back up to top right wing and top power play. I don't necessarily obviously expect 2 goals a game or anything weird like that, but I do think he'll come to play for a bit. He adds the additional banger stuff. He's only 24% owned, so 26 now, but a decent ad if you're looking for hits, shots, and points. That's it for my skaters, and I'll go ahead and throw a goalie in there. Pavel Francouz, 38%. We've got Grubauer still out at least for a bit, but either way, he's gonna get one of either Anaheim or LA this weekend. Both pretty great matchups. So regardless which one he gets, he's worth a spot start if you need that extra ad.
Yeah, I'll take it. Do you have any more?
That's it.
That's it. That's the show. That's the weekend.
That's the weekend.
That is the weekend. I don't hate it. Don't love it, but don't hate it either. I would actually start to plan for next week too. Maybe join Sit Start Saturdays this weekend. We'll give you some previews of who to pick up next week if you're already ahead or if you're already getting crushed like I am, especially with Bob and Net. And other than that, we will catch you for the week preview on Sunday. Thank you so much for listening.
Yep. Thanks for listening.